right. All right, we are live. All right, you gonna wait for some of y'all to get in here? Matter of fact, no. Y'all gonna come in. Let's get right to it. Everybody, thank y'all for tuning into All Viral Access Media. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and click the bell for all notifications. We have a case that is circulating, and it's crazy. Tamion Kenon, he is being pictured as a criminal and all of this stuff, and you know they murdered him. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna read exactly what happened to this guy. I don't want to freestyle. All right. It says Tamion Kenon, a young man with special needs and a documented mental health history, was taken into police custody on April 1st, 2024 in Fort Bend County, Richmond, Texas. Authorities were informed of his mental health condition and were given his prescribed medications prior to his detainment. Tamian was placed in an isolation cell at the Fort Bend County Jail in Richmond, Texas. It was found dead on April 3rd, just 2 days later. He was publicly portrayed in the media as having committed aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, despite no one being assaulted in the incident. The police report falsely claimed Tamian was indigent, and homeless, though he lived with his mother, who also provided his medications to law enforcement. The initial autopsy report by Fort Bend County provided only uncertain causes of death, prompting the family to request an independent second autopsy. Shockingly, the body was delivered for the second autopsy with all major organs missing. Now, that's crazy, making a full examination impossible. Tamian is reportedly the fourth person to die in Fort Bend County Jail in under 2 years, pointing to a potential pattern of negligence or abuse. The family and community are demanding justice, transparency, legal accountability, and increased media attention to this case. Now, who we have here is the mother. We have Ms. Gloria. We have Pink Ice, and we have Lloyd Kelly. I would like to thank y'all for joining the platform. I appreciate y'all. How y'all doing today?
Good. Thank you for having us.
I'm good. Thanks for having us.
All right, everybody, Flower Bloom, thank you, y'all. Thank you for them tuning in. Please make sure y'all share this live. I would gladly appreciate y'all. I want to start with the mother right now. Ms. Gloria, can you give us pretty much the backstory to this situation?
First of all, I just want to thank you again, Mike, for giving me the opportunity to get more exposure and having the community to get involved to help me find answers of what happened to my son. Like you said, on April the 1st, Tammy was having a mental episode. He's diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and he also have a symptom that emulates seizures. It's more related to stress, a stress-related mental illness where his body just starts jerking and it looks just like a seizure. So
Right.
normally he has that whenever he's under a lot of stress. That was an onset of him being 17 years old, and he got in an accident with a bunch of guys was trying to get him in their gang, and Tame was a little church boy. He was always a small guy. He didn't want to get involved with them, and they just jumped him, and he had a concussion on his head. And from there on, he started getting the seizure disorders and also developed the stress disorders that caused onset of bipolar.
Mhm.
So on April the 1st, and it's documented, I've taken care of Tammy from the age of 17 to 34, going to numerous hospitals, and everybody in Houston just about know him, every major hospital know from the records that they have. But on April the 1st, I noticed something different about Tammy, and I could tell when he's having a bipolar disorder. He walked down the stairs in the kitchen, and I had guests at my house, and we were having breakfast. And Tamian walked over to the kitchen drawer. He opened the drawer, and he took two knives out, and he put it on his hand like this. And all of a sudden, he walked next to me. I, being his mother, know exactly how to calm him down by talking to him very calmly to get him back in the right stage of mind. And I start talking to him, asking him how his day was, and getting excited about this new job opportunity he was going to have. And he said, "I'm not doing that good." He said, I think I need to go to heaven. I want to go to heaven, Ma." And he said, the only way, and he said, I want to take you with me. And I looked at him and he said, the only way I can do that, I'm gonna have to kill you. And he just did his hands like this with the two knives right to his side, just what I'm doing, just like that. I'm gonna have to kill you. Of course, it shocked me because he had never done anything that drastic before, and also with my guests as well. So I sort of talked to him very calmly and told him to calm down, that I won't be able to go to heaven with him if he killed me. And how was I going to take care of everybody else in the house and things like that. And all of a sudden you could tell his mannerisms start calming down, and he just walked on a side again where I was, and he put the two knives down on a counter. And when he put the two knives down, he automatically knew the routine. Because normally when that happens, if you get a bipolar disorder, we normally call this the police, and the CIT, Crisis Intervention Team, would come to analyze, help Tamian with getting adjusted. They will take them to a facility. They've taken him to jail, but then they'll take him to a facility where he can get adjusted. Sometimes he stays there for about a week, sometimes a month, and then they deliver him home. So when he put the knives on his side, he just put his hands down and looked down. He said, well, I guess I'm gonna have to call the police. We have to call the police. I said, yes, Tamian. So you've never done that before, so let's call the police. He said, well, I guess I don't have to do that, because by then my guest was on the opposite side of the kitchen table, and she whispered, should I call the police? And I said, yes, call the police. So she walked upstairs, and Tamian said, well, I guess I don't have to call the police because Miss Sheila's going to do it. And he said, yes. As soon as she said that, the police was banging on my door. I mean, banging on my door. When we opened the door, there were about 5 to 6 or maybe more policemen, and other police cars was driving up to my house. They weren't dressed like CIT, crisis intervention, at all. They were dressed in full uniforms with their bulletproof vests on, and with their guns and everything like that. And I immediately got alarmed because I knew that wasn't the police that can handle what's going on with that at that moment. The ex-Tamian, they asked us, we understand that there has been an incident at the house, and Tamian said no. But in the meantime, he was holding his arm around my waist and Sheila's waist like this, so he could like protect us. And I was whispering so they can read my lips, mental illness, so they can touch a button or something. I just get the right team out to help me with my son. And then my friend, she said aloud mental illness, because we were afraid because they had their guns out and everything like that. And that's when I told the policeman, please do not. Um, I don't want him to get him upset, because I knew they weren't aware of Tamian's disorder. And when Tamian started getting very stressed out, he was going to a seizure, and his body started jerking back and forth. So I didn't want to think he was going to be jumping on him. And then, because by then they pulled a gun on Tamian. And they asked him to step down, and Tammy told him no a couple of times. And he said, well, we need to make sure that you don't have anything in your pocket, or you have any weapons. And we all three of us said at the same time, we don't have any weapons. So the officer, he kept telling Tammy, step down, step down. And it was obvious we were in our pajamas. Tammy had just a t-shirt on, and he had his boxer shorts on. He had a phone in his pocket. So when they asked him to step down again, Tammy said, I don't have anything like that. Of course, the policeman, by then he took his gun out, and he started holding it at Tamian, which was totally unnecessary. He said, then Tamian said, all I have is my phone. Innocently. He said, all I have is my phone. He said, well, take your phone out, empty your pockets right now. And Tamian just looked at him. He said, I said, empty your pockets. By then that was so unnecessary.
Right.
And I knew Tamian would probably I was so afraid that he was going to get one of those seizure uh, episodes and just start his body jerking, and he was going to hit him, shoot him. What really bothered me is because before Tammy stepped down, another policeman grabbed the other police that was holding the gun, grabbed him by the back of his collar, and held the back of his a bulletproof vest. And they're always like in a stance, like for an attack. in front of all of us. It was so unnecessary. And
Right.
I couldn't understand that. And I kept saying, where's the special police? I need the special police come right now. I said,
Right.
because I don't know what's going on, but I was very upset. So Tamian, he just stepped down very humbly, put his head down, then put his hand behind his back. And that's when they handcuffed him and they turned him around. And two other policemen came in to my dining room and questioned my guest, Sheila and I. When they was questioning us, they were asking us to reenact what happened. I gave them a scenario of what actually happened. And the thing that bothered me is because when they were asking us questions, they took a mugshot of myself and Sheila in my house. I don't
Mm.
understand that. And then they took my guest, they took a fingerprint.
For real?
Yes.
I
They
know
took
that.
a,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm still in shock about that. Um, right then, of course, well, I suffer with hypertension, and my guest, I've been knowing her for 40 plus years, and she knew I was getting very excited and getting sick, whatever. So she went and got my blood pressure cuff. And when the police saw I was 220 something over 100 and something, they started panicking. And they became very nice and caring and made me feel much better about their mannerism and what they were going to do with Tammy, because they said, Miss, don't worry about it. We're going to take good care of him. And I said, well, where are you going to take him? He said, well, we have, I said, you need to bring him to a mental health facility. And he said, well, we're going to determine that because we have somebody outside that can determine whether or not Tamian, where he's going to go. And he's going to come back and let me know.
Mm.
So as we were taking, he was taking our information. He said, well, since he looked at the two knives, he said, well, since this is a knife and stuff like that, we're gonna have to put him on a peace, put him on a peace bond. First he asked, he said, well, you frightened? Of course I was frightened. That he'd never done that before. He said, well, this is just a customary thing because we have to come out. And since we came out and he does have a knife, which is considered a deadly weapon, we're just gonna put him on a peace bond and you just sign it right here. I didn't know nothing about that. So I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about the jail or anything like that. So I said, okay, but as long as, I can keep in contact with him. He said, well, don't worry about it. And I told him, I said, well, Tamian has to have his medicine. And it was early that morning. He had to have a noonday and an evening, a nighttime medicine at 9 o'clock. So I went upstairs to his bedroom. I got the medicine. And the officer said, well, he said, ma'am, I'm telling you right now, I will let you know exactly where Tammy's going to be at. And I will personally deliver Tammy's medicine to the dispensary. And they have nurses that will be able to give his medicine to him on a timely basis. So by him saying that, I felt good. By him, he and the other officer being very attentive to me with my blood pressure, trying to make sure that it was working correctly because they were surprised when they saw the numbers. I developed not really a trust, but I felt a little more at ease. And I know the protocol is they'll take him and they'll bring him to a facility for a couple, like I said, a week, sometimes a month. So I felt good. It didn't dawn on me until other people mentioned to me that when they told me that we'll call you back in 2 or 3 days, because I don't know the protocol of you get a free phone call, the inmate gets a free phone call. So I didn't know anything like that. So that I didn't put the two together with that. And then two policemen walked inside the house, and one when he walked in, he said, He said, I think I've been here before. And I said, you probably have. I said, because you guys at the EMS have been out here several times before. And that's when the officer who was taking our statement walked over to the other officer, and they whispered something. And he said, well, we're going to take Tammy to jail. I was freaking out.
What type of deal though?
Then somebody said, mumble, the big boy jail. And I said, no, 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 no. I said, please. I said, could you just please make sure he gets the medical attention? I must have said it a million times.
Right.
But make sure. He said, well, we'll contact you within 2 or 3 days, ma'am. And you know exactly where your son is. He said, but I promise you, I have his medicine right here. He said, I'm going to take it personally and hand deliver it. I said, okay. So when he left, I felt a bit relieved, more because of a respite feeling, because I figured that Tamian, they were going to take care of him. He was going to be in an area where he's supervised. I'm automatically thinking they were going to take him to an area where, like a hospital, Texana or something like that, or whatever. So the third day came by, and my daughter called me. My daughter called me, and she made up a story. For me to come to her house. And when I walk up to her house, they had a lot of people at the house. I thought it was a little surprise gathering. I really didn't know what was going on. And when I walked in, I was smiling and asking everybody what was going on and things like that. Um, and she said, I got a call about Tamian. And I got excited. I said, good. I said, where did it take her? Where did it take her? And when she was telling me, when she started holding my hand, I couldn't comprehend exactly what she was saying. She said, Mom, they found her dead. And I just blacked out. I just couldn't understand it. I could not comprehend that. I could not register that in my brain. I could not understand how he walked out the house in his pajamas that morning, and I'm thinking he's safe. And they told me my child was dead after 34 years of taking care of my baby. I could not put the two together. I couldn't comprehend. By the time I finished screaming and yelling and running to the house, I couldn't come home for a couple of days. Well, over about 2 weeks, I couldn't even come close to my house. Um, but through the duration of staying by my daughter's house, uh, the police officer, one of the officers at the pathologist's office, kept calling me for Tammy's old medicine. They wanted to know any medicine that Tamian had, thank you, any medicine that Tamian had, for me to bring it to the house so they could pick it up. And I didn't want to talk to them. They didn't. First of all, I didn't call. They didn't call me to give me condolences. They called my daughter, and what made it worse, my mother, who's 93, she was looking at television with her husband, my stepfather, and she's looking at television, and all of a sudden, Tammy's face comes on a channel two, another convicted. Uh, how did they say it? They said Tamion Kenon,
Another inmate
another inmate found
dead in the
dead.
Fort Bend County Jail. He was
Yeah.
convicted of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
My son didn't assault me.
Right.
He didn't assault Sheila. He would never do that. He wouldn't do that. And that wasn't his character. And but for him to say that, and my mom is still, well, she just got out the hospital, lost a lot of weight. The family is totally devastated. Totally devastated. Because Tammy was special. He was a special person, full of life, the zeal for life. And it's just unfortunate that
That they didn't follow protocol. No, that's what we. Okay.
well, they didn't follow protocol because when I said it, my guest, she said mental illness, because Tammy even mentioned, he said he looked at when he was holding us like he was protecting us. He said, so y'all gonna say I'm mentally ill? And I said, Tammy, we need a special policeman. We need a special policeman. So they heard all of that. That was an opportunity to do something then and there, but they didn't do that. And then for them to take who comes to my house and violate me and make me take a mug shot?
A picture. I've never heard
I've
of
never
that.
heard that
That's
before.
very interesting. It's a lot of
And then,
civil rights.
a fingerprint.
Right.
Who does that? And what made it worse, one of the things that my son and I talked about, he always wanted to be cremated, which I used to be fussing at him about that, but I'm glad now because he's here with me now. But before that happened, I had to get a second opinion, mainly because the pathologist from Fort Bend County storage was not adding up at all. He said, well, he probably died of a seizure. I beg to differ.
And who is this? This is Deputy Ken too. right?
No,
Is
this is
that
no, this
the
is the
pathologist?
this is the pathologist.
Okay.
The pathologist who did the autopsy on Tamian, and he said that Tamian may have died of a seizure, and I had to correct him. I said Tamian was diagnosed with seizures in the beginning throughout the duration of his life, but toward the end, I just got a diagnosis where he had a stress disorder that emulates seizures. So how can he have this disorder from the age of 17 to 34 and go to your jail on a first and and die in isolation by himself on a third? I wasn't buying that. Then he changed the narrative. He said, well, I did find a little parcel of food, nothing that really like he's choking, but a little parcel of food in his throat. Again, I beg to differ because I took a lot of videos of Tamian when he's had his episodes and things like that. And one in particular, I let him see that because we laughed about it. He was eating some his favorite fried chicken, and he was eating it. He was laughing, talking with us, and then all of a sudden his body started jerking. It fell on the ground. He picked it up and actually put it back in his mouth, and then he just snapped out of it. So we laughed about that. So, and I told the story to the pathologist. I said, now, if he can do that and have an episode, I don't think he choked on his neck. I mean, on his choked. The worst part about it, that has been the hardest thing that for me to deal with as a mother, and seeing how they are destroying my son's character. They killed my son,
Right.
but when the pathologists tell a mother like me, or any mother, that they had to take their son's brains out, that was the hardest part for me to deal with. They took his brain, and they also took his throat. They took his spleen and some other body parts out, so that when the second autopsy was given, they weren't able to do a complete autopsy because
That was your private one, right?
I had a private investigator, uh, pathologist to do that, just to make sure because it just was not looking right. And then, it didn't add up. The other prognosis was he asked me, did Tammy ever have a heart issue? And Tammy was premature. He was only 1 pound at birth. I was 6 months pregnant when I had Tamian. So he had a mild little heart incision, some type of valve. I can't remember the exact procedure. So I'm sure he did the research to try to find that out. And Tammy never had any problems because I would have thorough checks on Tammy from head to toe. So he never had any problems. So he had the audacity to tell me that he felt that maybe Tammy may have gotten this is a illness that was slowly graduating, and during the time right before he went to jail, there's a probability of him getting some type of virus. He was making things up, virus which could have triggered him having a heart failure. That doesn't make sense. He's just making something up. So they, mm, I know I tell the stories, I've told it so many times, but when you relive something over and over and over, and I know I have to tell the story a lot more, um, you start thinking of everything, and um, it's just like I'm actually living in 48 hours. I'm actually inside of it. I look at stuff like that on TV, but you never think anything like that would happen to you, you
Right.
know. Um, as we had the funeral arrangements after Tamian's cremation and things like that, which was extremely difficult. Um, the thing that really bothered me the most and that gave me the strength to really get strong and start fighting is when I received the certificate from Fort Bend County saying that my son was indigent. The indigent officer
Mhm.
wrote up a deposition, I guess. R. Riley And he said he had handwritten, Tamian is homeless. All the other little boxes he checked out, everywhere with Tamian, said his address that was there was all blacked out. And of course, I'm furious. I'm enraged
Right.
because how can you do something like that? How can you just, number one, you smear my son's name. Number two, you you're lying about he's living, and the thing about it too, they also called me several times, like I mentioned before, several times to try to come to the house to get Tammy's medicine. Why? I don't know. It was like 2 weeks later that one of the officers came to my inside my home where Tammy's lived, saw me go upstairs, get the medicine, but yet he's homeless.
Right.
Why? How can you do that? It doesn't make sense. And if it wasn't for people like Pink Ice and Lloyd Kelly, and I'm so excited that I had a meeting. We had a meeting with the Black Lives Matter grassroots chapter of Houston, Texas. Miss Tiffany Rachel, I think her name is Rachel. Yes,
Rachel.
yes, and they have actually taken on Tamian's case,
That's
and oh, it's phenomenal. That's just have really boosted my morale, and the fact that now we are in the process of putting together a march,
A protest.
a protest at Fort Bend County, and I'm looking for as many people that can come out and help support us, because something like this can happen to anybody. Anybody that's listening, it can happen to your mother, it can happen to your father, it can happen to your brother, your cousin, your sister. No one should feel the pain that my family and my closest friends, are feeling, because this is insane. It's just, and like LaRue was just saying, this is the Fort One. This is the Fort investigation.
mm,
I had a meeting. I was called in with Sheriff Cantu, the investigating sheriff for Fort Bend County. And when I went to his office, of course, we were taped, and I had a friend who was an attorney, just so I could have a witness there. And he was the only person that really gave me condolences and was telling me how sorry he was, and he was there to help me, and he's doing his best because, as it stands right now, they cannot find a cause of death. Pathologist is not giving a report. They said they're waiting for autopsy reports and sampling to be tested. He told me that he would do his best to solve the case, but as it stands right now, he's looking at it as a homicide.
good.
And he also said that he started sounding just like the pathologist, to be honest. And it
Mm,
it was quite obvious that they were, and of
thank
course, it
you.
was a good old boy. It's a good
Right.
old boy. Because all of a sudden he started saying, well, Tamian, he probably, I understand he has a history of having seizures. He may have had a seizure. And I just started looking at him. And then he said something about the throat. And sometimes some of the inmates may choke. So automatically, I already knew he was not for me and he wasn't going to help me. I automatically knew that they had collaborated together and to come up with the same story. So I switched the script, and I just told him, I wanted to make sure we were being taped. Because I did ask him, I said, well, I understand that right now your county jail is under investigation for three other murders besides my son. Is that right? Of course, he was thrown off a little bit, and lowering his voice said yes. Looking down, couldn't even look me in my eye. He said yes. I said, and are you investigating those as well? He said yes. He said, well, I asked him, I said, well, have y'all come up with a verdict? Do you understand why all these people are dying? He said, no, it's still under investigation. I was ready to leave then. There was nothing else he could tell me because I know that they're all together. I don't trust anybody in Fort Bend County. I live in a suburban, pretty decent suburban area where Fort Bend County policemen are very
Racist.
Very
Race.
racist, very racist. I'm gonna publicly say it because so many people visiting my home, which I thought was funny at first because I would have like gatherings and various things like that in my home, backyard. And some of the guys would start getting up and leave early because they knew several times they've been stopped by a policeman en route going down 59 for
Right.
no various reasons. My sister stopped at the red light at a stop sign to go into my subdivision, and a police stopped her, was giving her a ticket because her car was touching the pedestrian line. Anything,
Is,
foolish stuff.
is there sun? There's pretty much is that near like a sundown town and stuff like that? Because it's a lot that's in Texas as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. What's the question?
No, I was saying
It's not sundown towns.
Oh, no, no, no,
It's
no,
no
no. Oh,
sundown.
no, oh, no. That's just being prejudiced.
The Fort Bend County,
Yeah,
Fort Bend
that's-
County is in Houston. It's just like,
It's outskirts.
it's just the outskirts, Um, they don't, the folks don't like
Other
the
people,
YT people don't like it that, we can afford to be out here. Because I had a civilian to stop me
oh, yeah, I remember.
in a truck. I was drinking a Vitamalt and he gonna try to pull me over in his pickup truck. Had a gun and some handcuffs on, but I'm not trying to take the story away from Tamian, but Fort Bend County is known for its racism, and this police report is not the math is not math, and I'm so happy that Black Twitter has been
Oh, my
amazing.
gosh, yes.
FBA, the
yeah,
Freedmen,
April.
just Black Twitter, Negroes, all the acronyms have united for this cause, and that's what we need is unity, because this type of thing is going
It's
on.
happening.
Yeah.
It's happening. And I was so excited because one of the brothers, I don't know what state he was from, but he was nice enough to actually, my security cameras were broken, ship me brand new security cameras because to prepare me, because I'm going against, like they said, the big boy jail. I'm going against the big boy jail, and everybody else that's in it.
We already know how
Yeah.
it was with, the Carmelo Anthony situation. So this is almost kind of like the suburban area of Houston where, it's Fort Worth where I think Carmelo was. So I think we had is Brother Israel in here.
yes, we
Brother
have brother.
Israel from Black Lives Matter.
Greetings, greetings. How you doing, brother Mike?
Peace. How you doing, brother? How you feeling?
Doing well, doing well. Aside from whatever Angus is dealing with situations like Tamian's and many others. Shout out. Good to see you, Miss Gloria.
Oh,
Always
thank you
wish
so
it was
much.
under better
Thank you so much.
circumstances.
Thank you so much for your support. I'm
For
just so elated and just I feel so much stronger now. I'm looking forward to the 25th. We are trying to get as many people out to come and support us to see this can actually happen to their relatives or their husbands.
and
And
you and LaRue inspire us. I just want to say that your strength as a mother to be willing to um, go the long route of finding justice for you and your family, because oftentimes many families dealing with such a tragedy do not want to move forward with direct action, don't want to move forward. They just kind of want to let that, they say, let the relative rest in peace. So we are always grateful for your strength, your inspiration, to carry Tamian's flag forward. So I just want to let you know you, LaRue, Lloyd have been working highly, and you guys are an inspiration to me and the BLM grassroots team.
oh, thank you so much. Um, it's not easy. It's not easy. The more I talk about it, I'm getting stronger, but I'm not going to tell you that I did not. I want to act like the mad black woman, like they tell us that's how we act. That's why I had to calm my mind, my brain, to know I had to use the right strategy. And I have excellent people like Lloyd and LaRue and Dr. Howard that's surrounded me and my immediate family. I have a lot of some family members are afraid for me because they know the area I live in, and they know, that this is not going to be easy. I've had different people, Shakia, I think, from Floyd, George, who contacted. So many people calling me with similar situations and just giving me support. Fear not, said the Lord. Peace be still. That's what I'm standing on. I'm not afraid. And I took care of my son. When you see he has a Facebook that's going to be coming out tomorrow, and I'm giving you in his Facebook pictures of his character, pictures of him acting silly, pictures of him. I'm a chef and I do catering sometimes, of him helping me behind the scene. He always supported me. Um, Pictures of us sitting up in the backyard. There's a waterfall, and the most profound thing that he told me, because I was telling the stories about how small he was, he knew he was a fighter. He knew he was different. He knew that and I knew that I had to really protect him from the world
Right.
because of his mental disorder. And one evening he saw me sitting in the backyard with my head down, and which is very rare for me to get depressed about anything really. But he looked at me and said, "Mom, what's wrong?" I said, "Well, Tamian, because I work 3 jobs sometimes to take care of my children to make sure they have a decent place to stay.
Right.
From producing fashion shows, people see me all over me on social media. They say a picture's 1,000 words more than you ever can imagine, because they see the glam. They see
Mm.
me producing fashion shows, teaching models how to walk. Then they see me doing caterings somewhere else, all in the course of a week or whatever. Think it's a glamorous. No, I'm trying to survive. I'm making sure that my son had his medicine and going back and forth to hospitals. I lived at hospitals all the time. The
Mm.
people on my immediate circle knew that was my real life, but on the outside, it portrayed something totally different. And when Tamian saw me looking down, he said, "Ma," he just grabbed my hands and he said, "Ma, He said, "Not you, not you." He put his hands up. He put my hands on his chest. He put his hands on his chest. He said, "Ma, look at me." Then he put my hands on his face and he made me do this to him. He
Mm.
said, "Look at me, Ma." He said, "I'm your miracle child." He said, "Because of you, I survived, Ma." He said, "Because of you and your faith and all the stuff you've done for us, uh, I'm still alive." He said, "Look how old I am." And he started acting silly, making me laugh. He said, "I'm alive, Mom, I'm alive." He said, "As long as you live." He said, then he made me look at the waterfall. He said, "You see those little crystals like that, Mom?" He said, "That's how many blessings you're going to get one day for being the type of mother you are."
Mm.
And he had such wisdom. He had a lot of wisdom. He was different. He was powerful. He was little. He feared nothing. That's why I was so afraid that what could have happened in jail was they antagonized my son to provoke him. I'm more than sure. And there was maybe some type of altercation or something to stress him out, to put him in isolation. I don't know. We have to get the videos.
That's what I was thinking, because he probably had another episode while he was in custody, and they probably took that as a threat instead
Oh,
of
yeah.
looking at it as a episode, something that's like a mental health issue, and
Mhm.
properly go accordingly. But they probably killed them. You know what I mean? That's pretty much is probably what they did. And I figure it's just like organ harvesting. Where's the camera footage? I'm pretty sure that they had the body cam when they came to the house,
Yeah, they
because now
have to.
they try to say that he's homeless, knowing that y'all got him from his home. So it's a lot of inconsistency. So
Mhm.
what we spoke off the record before. So but is there any update on the camera footage, the body cam?
We
Miss
have
Gloria,
we
can I jump in there?
go ahead.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Israel.
Yeah, so we're working on FOIA requests now for footage, not only from the body cam, from within the sales, as well as any booking reports. We noticed inconsistencies, like he was picked up on April 1st, but the paperwork shows he was booked April 3rd. This is a part of that push, even with your efforts, Mike, that to help us get that information out there. This is how we call in investigators from the Rangers, investigators from the DOJ, possibly to come and look into what's happening. Tamian is one of many deaths in Fort Bend County Jail, which is about 20 minutes outside of Houston. But Harris also has this problem with folks dying inside of cells there. So August 25th is extremely important for those of you who are in the area or are near who can travel to be there to stand with Miss Gloria, to stand with LaRue as they fight for Tamian's his life, right? Fight for his death, his legacy, everything that might have been taken away from him. Very disturbed by the fact that his organs, which they were not authorized to harvest or take, were not in his body when they should have been there. There's, to your point, there's a lot of inconsistencies. The fact that, like we said, they had been there before, they knew that Tamian had suffered with battle with mental issues over the years, so they knew that the CSI should have been there to ensure that they had the proper coverage and care, which was not done. Even one of the officers acknowledged that they had been there before. And, you know, we black, we know how this works. We know they know what house they go into. They have it pegged, especially when, you know, we're in an area where they don't necessarily want us. They know exactly where we are at all times, right? So the fact that they took Miss Gloria and her guests and put her up against a wall and took pictures of them and took fingerprints from them as if somehow they were some type of assailant or they had done some crime and required some type of mugshot in her own house, right?
Yeah.
So it's a host of things that we are fighting for. We can't make civil action, even though we've talked to some of the biggest attorneys across the country who are considering taking on this case. But until we get a cause of death, we're kind of stalled in the direct action. Yeah, they delayed that. They had to send the organs or the samples out of Fort Bend County because they couldn't process. And so they've been telling Ms. Gloria that they haven't had those back. So technically it's still inconclusive as far as his cause of death at this point, right? So there's a host of reasons why we're fighting. Mainly, of course, because this young man lost his life and he shouldn't have lost his life. But everything from before he did to afterwards, they have screwed up. And at some point in time, answers need to be had.
Do they have any pictures? I know we asked this question. I asked this question before, but did they take pictures of his body? Because when they do the autopsy, don't they take pictures of the body and stuff like that?
That's one of the things we're going to request. They should. I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, a friend of mine's, daughter had like passed away in a car accident, and yeah, they had pictures. She has the pictures of her daughter.
So it's gonna be very hard for me.
Can I point something out here?
I was just about to come. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, you know, the details are obviously important. However, what gets lost, and we must focus on this. Why did they not call the crisis intervention team at the very beginning? This all happened only because those officers on scene did not call the crisis intervention team. So now we're talking about, what are they hiding? We're talking about, what killed him and all this. What killed him was they did not call the crisis intervention team or take him to a medical facility. They took him to the police station. Problem is, we don't know when they took him because his booking sheet says April 3rd. It does not say April 1st.
Right.
It bothers me. Why when Gloria asked them, where are you taking them? Why would you tell her that someone will call you in 2 or 3 days and tell you where he's at when you're the one driving him to where you're taking him? So why wouldn't you have told her or said to her, I'll make sure that he calls you and tells you where he's at? Because I would imagine, and I'm not going to speak for her, but I'm pretty confident to say that the second she got the call, she's asking, what is the bail? Or or bringing somebody to get him released to go into a medical facility, because apparently there was something going on with his medications or whatever. For whatever reason, he came downstairs that morning and did what he did. But that's an indication of a mental thing, not a criminal thing. And why didn't they call the crisis intervention team? That is the most important question to be answered, because everything emanates from that.
That's true.
I'll land there.
Right. Yeah, it definitely doesn't make any sense. Just everything. And I just what was the cause of death again? Did they say it's a homicide, or what was
No,
the cause of death?
the sheriff said he was investigating Tamia's death as a homicide until proven otherwise. Because
We
he
have no
thought
cause of death.
able,
That
It's
right.
been 3 months. They don't have a cause of death.
4 months now. They don't have-
4 months,
yes.
no cause of death.
And this happened, hold on. Because did this happen last year or this year? Because
No, April 1st.
Sure.
April 1st.
of this year, right? Because it say 2024 on the thing. But
That's
that's insane. And they already have 3 other prior cases that is similar to this case. They like everybody should be under investigation. Like something should happen, but you know that the good old boys, you know, they family, they like the mayor, everybody's in cahoots. They're gonna slow this thing all the way out because everybody is
yes.
drinking coffee together, playing golf together, having barbecues together and stuff like that. And when it comes down to us, you know, they just don't care. So
Now,
go ahead, sir.
Now, one of the things that I do for Gloria is keep her focused on the business side of this. So, you know, everybody thinks that, you know, things are going to happen and, you know, what should happen and they're going to do this. No, they're not going to do anything unless we force them to do it. And unfortunately, every time we force them to do it, we have to hire an expert, or we have to hire an investigator, or we have to hire the attorney, or we have to hire, or we have to pay the fees, on and on and on. So we've established a Give, Send, Go fund, Give, Send, Go. And I'm asking your listeners to please go and make a donation, because the stuff is not cheap. It really is not. And it's very important that we do it. And as a matter of fact, you know, I'm my whole life has kind of been taken over by Justice for Tamian. However, I also know that when we did I have a space that I do on Twitter, and already I've had 2 other people that have situations similar to come on, and I know tomorrow there'll be another one. So we really need you to help out with the donation part to raise the funds to pay all this stuff. It's crazy. So I just humbly ask that.
Send me the link and everything. I'll put it under this video and I can put it in the chat now. Are y'all hiring like lawyers that's from a different jurisdiction? Because you know, if you hire the same lawyers within that town, you know they all in cahoots. Like somebody that don't know these, I'm about to curse.
No, we've been
other efforts, like you know, is someone that's not that don't know these people in that town, so it won't.
Your volume is going down, Mike.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
But yeah, Mike, in answer to your question,
I can
we're
hear you.
part of the work that Black Lives Matter Grassroots does is we try to connect families with attorneys who handle wrongful death lawsuits, right? So we're purposely targeting folks who specialize in wrongful death lawsuits. So any attorney that wouldn't be in the pockets of Fort Bend and would be somebody who handles these cases, so are already a bit antagonistic, if you will, to that side of the law when it comes to fighting for the cases, and in particular about folks of our race, our lineage. And to Lloyd's point, if you can't afford to give cash, you can share on your socials. You can use the hashtag Justice for Tamian Kenon. Make sure that you can tell the folks who you know what is going on. Talk to folks who you know in Texas or Houston who might be able to show up for some of these direct actions and some of these protests. We can get you some phone numbers so that you can start making phone calls on behalf of the family as well to various agencies and law enforcement, asking what's going on with Tamian to move this along, why the autopsy hasn't been coming. That's where sort of that where there's not money power, where the people power come in and can be extremely potent in pushing a case like this forward. And to Lloyd's point, if it's not Tamian, it's someone else soon thereafter. So this is always an ongoing fight. But sharing it on your socials, asking for who killed him, talking about it, spreading it with your friends, so that this is something that goes viral. And like many folks who might be listening tonight are hearing it for the first time, we want to make sure every time this story is told, there are less and less people who are hearing it for the first time.
Right. They battery died, so they back on. So when so y'all having this march, right? And what day and month that's gonna take place?
That's scheduled for the 25th of August, and it's going to be at the is it at the courthouse or at the Pink? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's going to be we're going directly to the Fort Bend County jail.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what we'll be on August the 25th
At 11 o'clock.
at 11 a.m.
So anyone who can who's in the Houston area, who can travel to that area, who can be to the Fort Bend County on that day, where that is a tremendous help within itself. So like Ms. Gloria said, we'll have a Facebook page set up as well as other socials. So as folks do need to get in contact with us, they'll have ways to reach out to the family and other ways that they might be able to help spread the message in particular.
And Mike, I did just send you that link in your email.
Okay.
In your email, I sent the email. I replied the email you sent me. So I hope you get it.
Can we just talk it? No, sure.
Okay. Hold on one second.
Put on that.
If you have anything else to add on, y'all can, or Lloyd, either one of y'all. Wow.
Well, Ms. Gloria, talk.
Sorry. We're having technical difficulty right now with the telephone system. But can I just say thank you? I mean, I'm just hearing you guys just talking and with such authority and power, and I know my son's looking down on heaven, just smiling because his mama. And the fact that you guys are behind me and my family, I just can't say thank you enough. I really appreciate you, Lord, the room, Mike, Israel, everybody. Just thank you, and everybody who's out there. That's Black Twitter.
Good morning.
Good morning. April Showers. I'm trying to remember everybody.
Kelly. So here's the thing.
Yes, it's just so many people. Anybody in Houston
boycott today? She's been awesome, amazing with keeping Tamian's picture out there. Justice for Tamian. The hashtags. Justice for Tamian. Who killed Tamian? And now we're happy to add Black Lives Matter grassroots to that list that is joining us in the fight for justice for Tamian.
We're joining them. It's just like giving them the bringing us to the next level. And they were, after speaking with Miss Tiffany, she was very enlightening, and she was very compassionate, because a lot of times people say, I know what you're going through, but no. She knew. She told me her story, and that made me feel so much better to be able to understand my pain and know how blessed I am that God gave me the strength to be in the forefront to fight for my baby. Because this is not easy. This is not easy. It's one of the biggest challenges of my life.
To that point, Tiffany and many others in Black Lives Matter grassroots across the country, 51 chapters, many of the folks who had those chapters, those local chapters, are victims, right? They're families of people who were lost, right? So, and Foster Jr., who died in Alabama, but his mother has Black Lives Matter, New Orleans, or Deanna Joseph, whose son Joseph III was murdered in Tampa, Florida, and that's where they hid.
Um,
Many of these families can, like to Miss Gloria's point, can speak from the standpoint of a mother or a father who's lost their child to police violence, and that is the entire mission: fighting for people like Tamion across this country who so often die at police hands or in police custody, and with impunity. No one gets in trouble. No accountability, no explanation, and so it's work that that weighs on us all, but
Right.
it's that necessary work, right?
Yeah.
And it's platforms like this because I remember being on Lord, and you remember this, you and LaRue, you guys. When after I told my story, a young lady came on and she was crying, and she was saying how she, by me talking and sharing my story, how bad she felt with her boyfriend who was murdered, and she was trying to tell the mother not to pursue it. Like you said earlier, Mike, a lot of people just don't have the courage, they don't have the fight, they don't have the fight in them to do it, or they want to keep it private, hush hush, or whatever.
Right.
And she said by me opening up, it gave her more encouragement to encourage her ex or her boyfriend, her deceased boyfriend's mother, then more people need to get out. But there's so many unsolved mysteries and murders that we probably don't even know about. We know of 4,
Right.
but there's so many people that's not saying anything. And I feel that it's platforms like what you all are providing for us, and with the Black Lives Matter, a grassroots of Houston, and being strong behind us, we will unite a lot more, and we'll be able to become more visible, and our voice is going to get stronger and stronger. Right. So, my hat's off to you guys. I've never encountered this new world that Lord and Pink Ice have exposed me to. Is a blessing, and more people need to hear about it. What you're doing, Israel and Mike, and what you guys are doing. This is just wonderful. This has really propelled me to the next level, and we're going all the way. It's not boots on the ground, it's troops on the ground. That's what I feel like it is
I
now.
like that. There you go. Yep. Troops on the ground.
Troops on the ground, yeah.
Is there anything else that y'all would like to tell the people? And I wanted to say this on August 24th. Maybe we could do it again.
Sure.
Just for a reminder to come out the next day.
Oh yes, great.
Is there anything else y'all would like to say before we get out of here? I want to start with Lloyd, and then Israel, and then we're gonna end with you, Miss Gloria. You go right ahead, Lloyd.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to say about the protest on the 25th. It's on a Monday, and it's at 11 o'clock. And initially when we heard about it, it was like, no, we should have it on a Saturday. No, we're having it on Monday because we want every single one of those sheriff's people, every single one of the prosecutors, all those people to know they'll be at work. We want them to know you're not getting away with this. And we are chasing you down wherever you are. You're going to deal with this, and you're going to deal with it honestly and openly, and you're going to provide justice, not for Tamian, but for his family, because his Tamian is gone. It's nothing we could do for Tamian, but we can certainly do something for the family, and we can certainly do something to make sure it stops. There's not a 5th one at Fort Bend County, Texas jail. And that's all I want to say. And thank you again for having us, Mike. It's great. Thank you.
No problem. I forgot to ask this question, and anyone can answer this. About the toxicology. Because they took his organs. His body is cremated, so that is contaminated. They can't do anything with ashes, respectfully, or whatever. No pun intended, whatever. But they do have his organs, so they do have samples of his DNA and stuff like that, right? And has that been?
I can answer that. I spoke with the second pathologist, and that's again like what Laura was saying, raising money, because I was able to pay for the second one. But that cost, I can get a 3rd toxology report, because then the second pathologist it stated that they are assuming that possibility of, how do they say it? A drug overdose. Now, how can you have a drug overdose?
That's insane.
Yeah, possibility of a drug overdose.
They're grasping at straws now.
Drug
We
addicts.
don't believe.
All black people is criminals. All black people is drug addicts. So they trying to use every little stereotypical label, you know what I mean, to put on that. So now they're gonna say he was on drugs. That's effed up.
How could he be on drugs and he's in their jail? My son never destroys it. I mean, he might smoke a little marijuana and stuff like that. At his age, most people do, but not to that point. And he was gone for 3 days. So they saved some of his liver. They saved his liver, and I have up to 6 months to get a toxicology report. After that,
Are we even believing anything that they're saying? Whose liver is that? That's what whose liver is that? I mean, we want to know. We're demanding that they rule Tamian's death. They what he chose, from seizure. We're demanding that they
expedite procedures.
Expedite.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So to answer your question, there is a possibility, once I get the third autopsy, toxicology report to see if it matched. But what's interesting, when I called the second pathologist, the receptionist, we became friends because I was going back and forth, moving Tamian around and stuff like that, getting him over there. And I told her that I misplaced the first autopsy, I'm sorry. And any other time, to me, in 2025, you could just press the button and send me a copy of it, correct?
Absolutely.
I've been waiting for it for 3 weeks now. And I question it, and I think the reason why is because when I start questioning why the brain was out, is that customary, why the brain was out, and the throat was out, and different things like that. She told me that was customary that's a normal procedure, and she was gonna get back with me by providing the original autopsy report. I have not received that as of yet, so that's going toward Pink Ice was saying. Fort Bend, they all play golf together. It's a good old boy.
They like when they murdered him and he was at the morgue, they took before he got an autopsy. Was his organs already taken?
Yes, his brain was gone. His brain
his gone.
It's gone.
Why his brain? Like, why would they take his brain? Like, your child's brain is gone. Like, that is, I can't even imagine.
Every time I mean, and the throat. The thing that's interesting because the throat is missing, but yet he mentioned something about there was a possibility of him having a morsel of food in his throat, and it wasn't until I was sharing this with my father-in-law. He was in the Marines, and he was talking about a certain type of choke that they were trained to do on the side of the neck, that when they do it, you're released, and then you still live, but eventually, within a couple of seconds after that, you die. So that, to me, I'm thinking, did they choke my child? And why would they take the whole organ out before you can get the second autopsy?
I'm not gonna go because I people know how far I can take it, but those people will they dying off, so they need organs. And I know it's August harvesting, but that's what they're doing. It's I don't really want to make this racial because this is kind of pissing me off with the hell that they did, and that's really effed up what they did. So I really hope there's justice.
Please, I wish everybody come out.
Justice for Tamian, please.
Absolutely.
Come out and support us. Let's make sure that this does not happen to you. Please come out. Anybody that knows me, that lives in the Houston area, you know who I am. Please come out and support me. I really appreciate it.
Well,
Um,
let's not limit it to the Houston area, because I live in Louisiana and I'm doing my best to
Amen.
get there.
Oh,
So
wow.
so come from
Great.
around the country if you can make it be
Around the
there.
country. Anywhere around the country, please.
Exactly.
Around the country. Yes, please. Thank you, Lord. Yes.
Israel, any last thoughts, Mr. Israel?
Yes, sir. Only thing I just want people to keep Tamian in their mind, lift Gloria up in your prayers. We know how these situations can get, especially when you start to apply pressure to power. Living in an area that she lives in. When you see folks on social media saying things they shouldn't be saying, make sure you're as aggressive with them as you can be. Let's make sure that they know that the wagons are circling around her, and thus that that's not a line that anybody should be touching. And for those of you who are people of faith, man, keep us in your prayers. If you
Please.
can't be there in person, be there with us in spirit.
Man,
Thank you. I was going to close with that as well. Just lift me up in your prayers, please. That's what I need.
it was definitely a lovely conversation. We definitely gonna have more of those. The Twitter space you're gonna have tomorrow, Lloyd. You're gonna be on there on Pink Ice. If you are,
Yes, I will be.
tag me, and I'll definitely join the space tomorrow for sure.
Okay.
And
The more the merrier.
Miss Gloria, my condolences, and
Thank you, sir.
anytime you need me, I'm here.
Thank you so much.
I will stay in contact with y'all, and nice to meet you, brother Lloyd and brother Israel, and
Same here, brother.
we all stay in contact, and we can do this again, man. And everybody, please make sure y'all show y'all support at what is it? Gifts and Go.
Yeah, give and go.
Gifts and Go. And
And also too, Mike, I want to say they can join us over too on the Facebook page. Justice for Tamian's Facebook page is up. You could come and share some memories and see some pictures and videos of Tamian there.
Mhm.
okay,
And send me your prayers. Let me
Yeah.
know
absolutely, man.
you're holding my hand.
Absolutely. Again, I thank y'all and thank you everybody for tuning in. Please make sure y'all share this live. Please share this live. Make sure you go on Facebook, Justin for Tamian. Please make sure y'all support. Go to Gifts and Go. Please donate whatever you can. Anything can help. And with that being said, peace and justice for Tamian. And we are.
Peace and blessings.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, no problem. Peace.
Peace.